Hey guys, first thing you're going to want to do is get your supplies together. You're going to want to draw with pencil. That way if you make a mistake, you can erase it. And then you're going to want to trace your lines with crayon. I'm going to demonstrate with Sharpie just so it shows up on the camera better. But really, you should draw with pencil and then trace it with crayon. And then if you are able, you are going to paint on top of the crayon today. So go ahead and gather your materials. If you're painting, you need the tray, brush, cup of water, and a paper towel. And then we'll get started. Today you're going to need to have your paper the tall way, also called the hamburger way or the portrait way. And the first thing we're going to do is with a pencil, draw a horizon line. The horizon line should be in the top half of your paper. Don't push too hard because parts of it are going to be erased. Alrighty, next let's add one of our sailing ships. We're going to start by drawing the base of the ship. And it's going to be a little bit taller in the front, a little bit shorter in the back. And we want this to look like an old wooden ship. You can go ahead and add some details, like windows. And wooden planks. And then you're going to draw a center mast. That is that tall part that holds up the main sails. Now, you really should be drawing with pencil because part of this is going to be erased and covered up by sails. I'm drawing with Sharpie, so I'm not going to be able to erase, but you will. Alrighty, and then you're going to want to do the second line because it is not just one tiny piece, it's actually a large log. And then a front mast, a little bit shorter than the center one. And a back mast, a little bit shorter than the center one, probably about the same as the front. Okay, and then the next step is to add 3 sails on your center mast. The way that you would do that is by doing a horizontal line with a matching horizontal line above it. And since we know that this is going to be a windy day at sea, we want the sails to bend and look like they are pushing the ship forward. So they're going to bend in this direction. So the front is going to be a rainbow line, and the back is going to be a copy of the rainbow line. We're going to do it again. Mine's a little crooked, sorry. And again. You're going to repeat the same process, just a little smaller on your front mast and your back mast. Remember to make them curved and look like they're catching the wind in them, doing their job. Okay, and next we are going to kind of cap these off and then add a flag. Now, the wind is pushing the sails this way. We can tell because of the direction of the curves. So that means the wind is blowing in this direction, and any flags we draw should also be blowing in this direction. Mine's a little close to the top. You could even add one of those crow's nests where the sailors stand to see in the distance. Okay. And then the last detail for this is to add some ropes and rope ladders. And I need to do this just to represent them. And you can add more if you'd like. Now you would use an eraser and erase where the masts are showing through the sails. We do not want see-through sails. That doesn't make sense. So you would erase that. I can't because I'm drawing with Sharpie. You would also erase anywhere where the horizon line is showing through your boat. So I drew my horizon line with pencil, so I can erase here and here. And that one goes behind, so that one's fine. Okay, next we are gonna repeat this with a second ship that is smaller. It is smaller because it is further away, and it's higher because it's further away. So go ahead and draw a second boat, ship, in the distance. All right, now we need to show that these boats are being pushed by the wind and moving in the water. The way that you do that is by making some curved lines where the water is being pushed in front and around the boat. And then some slightly crooked, a little bit horizontal ones underneath. And then a few behind, kind of like showing its path through the water. And this one's further away, so we're barely going to see it. A little bit smaller. Okay, next we're going to add a sun. And I think I'm going to make mine rising on the horizon. It's going to go behind the boat. And I'm going to go ahead and trace or draw in that horizon line. Yours was already drawn with pencil, but I want mine to match my Sharpie. Anyway, okay, so I've got the sun rising behind it, and then we want it to look windy. So the next step is to draw some windy lines in the sky. And remember, that is one of the strategies to help it look like a windy day. Okay, next we are going to draw very choppy waves, large at the bottom of the paper. And as the waves get further in the distance, they're going to get a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller, and so small that we really don't see them. So at the bottom, I'm going to draw a large, choppy wave design. It kind of looks like a shark fin or something. And if you know a different way to make waves, you don't have to copy this way. You can make your own. The second row is just going to be a little bit smaller, because as things get further away, we know that they look smaller. And as we keep adding the rows of waves, they are going to get smaller. Alrighty. Now for the fun part, we are going to paint. And since this is an opportunity to learn about color mixing, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get some water on our brush, stir it around the blue. Lots of blue in the ocean, that makes sense. And then make a little puddle of blue in the lid. We're gonna do all of our mixing in the lid. That way well, basically it doesn't ruin the other pinks. So get a little puddle, add more water if you need to. And then get some either green or purple or black. I'm gonna do a little green and stir that in. I made this really cool teal color. So I'm gonna start painting in my water with some of this teal color. Then I'm gonna wash my brush and I'm gonna mix another color. I'm gonna get a little purple this time. And I made this kind of like cobalt blue. And where they're going over top of each other, they're kind of blending together, making a new color too. So we talked about how the colors that you choose really show the weather pattern. So this is a windy day at sea, so you can choose to make it a sunny, windy day at sea, or you can choose to make it more cloudy. In that case, you would probably use more muted tones of blue, and you would stir in a little bit of black to really make it kind of look gray and make it more windy day colors, or even stormy looking. Here's a dark one I made. Just make sure you're painting slowly and carefully, making sure to not go outside the lines. Make sure to wash your brush between colors, that way you don't ruin the paint in the tray. And you don't want to paint wet next to wet. So instead of immediately grabbing my brown and making this part brown, I'm going to let it dry, because what happens is if I put brown there and this blue was still wet, they would squish together. Squish happens. We don't want squish to happen. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit before I go back and add the brown. All right, guys, have fun. I can't wait to see how everybody's artwork turns out. See you later.